But first, I didn't actually want to talk about this subject again tonight. I wanted to move on from the Kimberley Kitching scandal. But then I saw the latest disgusting tactic by Labor and its media mates. Now, they've all switched in their desperation, saying, well, look, you know, it's too soon and sensitive to discuss all this when Kimberley's just died. Then they went to, oh yes, she was a wonderful woman. Labor's now going to create a Human Rights Award in her name. And now, well, now it's, she was a backstabbing sneak. What a pack of... And I've got to nail some of these lies, or maybe you should call them deceits. But let me actually start by reminding you of some history about Anthony Albanese, because all this is exposing a flaw in his character that I didn't know was this pronounced. I know that Anthony Albanese says he likes reaching out to people, even me, and thank you, Anthony, I like you too, or I don't know. But this history of his is actually very tribal, you know, looking after his tribe, right or wrong, and fighting his enemies, you know, like Conservatives.
I like fighting Tories. That's what I do. That's what I do.
In fact, as our Deputy Prime Minister to Julia Gillard, Albanese even had a friendly beer with Craig Thomson when Thomson was already facing dozens of charges of ripping off his former union members, spending their money on luxuries and on hookers, but telling Parliament the most absurd claims of being set up.
That he would seek to ruin any political career that I sought and would set me up with a bunch of hookers.
But Albanese saw nothing wrong back then with having a drink with this Labor scoundrel and liar.
With Craig Thomson last night, given that he's facing about 173 fraud charges, was that a smart look?
Oh, look, what happened last night was I was having a beer after work with someone who I work with. Craig Thomson was in the building. He came along for a beer, a personal chat, that's all. No big deal. Hold the front page. Albo likes a beer after work.
By the way, Craig Thomson was later convicted of fraud and now faces other charges of fraud and domestic violence. Now, this is starting to seem a bit of a pattern with Anthony Albanese. Very tough on his enemies, very soft on his own. But that brings me to Labor's latest tactic to end this embarrassment over the alleged bullying of Kimberley Kitching, the Labor senator who died of a suspected heart attack 2 weeks ago today. And this Labor tactic, and the tactic of their friends in the media, is now attack. Today, for instance, Labor's climate change spokesman, Chris Bowen, took over Albanese's press conference to defend the three Labor women, Senators Wong, Keneally and Gallagher, who Kimberley had accused of being the mean girls who bullied her, which they, I must say, deny.
Three better colleagues you could not meet than Penny Wong, Christina Keneally and Katie Gallagher. I've served in Parliament with Penny Wong for 17 years and with Christina and Katie since they joined the Parliament. And they treat every single individual with respect.
Well. As for Albanese himself, he was asked to comment on a vicious sledge of Kimberley Kitching written by Age columnist Nikki Savva, clearly briefed by Labor, who made a whole series of dodgy claims about Kimberley. Now, Savva normally writes a weekly column saying the Prime Minister is hopeless, hopeless, hopeless. This time she swung to Labor's defence, trashing Kimberley as someone that Labor was right not to trust, basically a traitor. She wrote that Kimberley lost the trust of many of her own side. She was suspected of leaking and undermining colleagues, not only by briefing media. So far, Chris Uhlmann and Andrew Bolt, she said, have publicly revealed Kitching told them she was concerned Wong would be weak on China. But coalition MPs also, former Liberal Party officials, even senior staff in the Prime Minister's office. Now, of course, it's extremely fortunate for Nikki Savva that Kitching is not here to defend herself. But let me say this. Savva would know that just about every single politician does trade in gossip, particularly with journalists. Savva herself once seemed to be on Malcolm Turnbull's tap when he was undermining Tony Abbott. And what leaking by Kitching can Savva actually identify? Well, she wrote that Kimberley allegedly warned a Liberal minister, Linda Reynolds, that the Mean Girls would go for her over the alleged rape of Brittany Higgins by a Liberal staffer in Reynolds' own office. Now, Reynolds was under such pressure that she checked into hospital, later did the dirty on Kitching, as she pleaded for the Mean Girls to back off. Savva writes that Reynolds went so far as to produce for Wong, Gallagher and Keneally video footage from the Senate chamber, showing Kitching approaching Reynolds months before in early February, before prayers. And Reynolds told them that this was when Kitching first told her the Labor Tactics Committee, which included Wong of course, had discussed the Higgins allegations and planned to weaponise the alleged rape and attack Reynolds. Now, Reynolds was actually talking rubbish, and Savva should have known it. 1. Kimberley Kitching has denied this claim in a 7-page rebuttal she prepared for Deputy Labor leader Richard Marles. 2. Savva says that Kitching warned Reynolds in early February that the Mean Girls were coming for her over the Higgins claims. But the Higgins rape claims did not become public until the story was broken on news.com.au in mid-February, February 15 to be precise. So neither Kimberley nor the Mean Girls even knew about it until then. Kimberley said in her statement she didn't know. So Kimberley could not warn Reynolds of a plot that didn't exist. She may have heard whispers of some allegations coming down the pipeline, I don't know, but these details she said she didn't, and the Mean Girls said the same. So how could Kimberley have warned Reynolds of an attack that she didn't know was coming and the Mean Girls didn't know they were planning? And the crazy thing is that Savva in a story today actually kind of admitted exactly this and then ignored it in this amazing paragraph. Kitching's leak to Reynolds was not actually true. Not actually true. But in the very next breath, Savva goes on, this was a sackable offence in anyone's language, and Kitching was dropped from Labor's Tactics Committee. Not true, but a sackable offence. I mean, seriously, if that's the best that Labor and its media friends have got, well, and yet this trash was retweeted by ABC presenters like Patricia Carvelis and Sabra Lane, who said, oh, this is highly recommended reading. That's just the ABC protecting Labor again. So what should Albanese have said today when this trashing of Kimberley Kitching was raised with him? I reckon he should have called it for what it was, a dirty smear that didn't even make sense. Instead, he said this, not exactly endorsing it, he couldn't do that, but giving it a little push, adding a little detail.
I saw that speculation today. I'm not aware of the basis of that speculation. Kimberley Kitching's passing is a tragedy, And the idea that we can answer a question about whether Kimberley Kitching spoke to someone at any particular time or not, I'm not aware of. I read today, for example, about Kimberley Kitching having a discussion with the Vice President of the Liberal Party, I think Tina McQueen. That's the first I've heard of it. But Kimberley Kitching's passing is a tragedy. And I think that Kimberley Kitching deserves much better than an ongoing discussion about whether she spoke to the Vice President of the Liberal Party or someone else at any particular time.
Oh, that fox. That reference to Tina McQueen was actually about something I told you last night. That Tina McQueen had found Kimberley crying 2 or 3 weeks before she died and simply asked her, what's wrong? And now there's just sneakily added as well. See, she talked to anyone. There's Albanese adding to a list of Kimberley's alleged sins, why she couldn't be trusted. How low can you go? And this is going to be our Prime Minister in 2 months.